Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I'm Sam Fonseca. Hope you're all well. Again, thank you for all the positive comments and all the great feedback I've had. I really do appreciate it. Today we're having a bit of a different one from the sporting side of things. We're moving on to new things, just like Amorim. We're going to speak about Manchester United, and of course that's where Amorim's going. He's got a very big job on his hands in terms of rebuild, but today I'm going to be looking at 3 players who I think he could sort of mould into better ones and can be sort of the vocal point of his rebuild. They're already at Man United. I might do another video of players that aren't at Man United or players from Sporting that he might want to bring over and sign for Man United. But this video alone is just going to be the Man United players in general. And 3 of them I think will really thrive under Amorim. So if you do like this style of content, please let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Make sure you follow me on social media as well, down in the links in the description. But yeah, let's get into it. So number 1 is going to be an obvious one, to be honest, and that's going to be Manuel Ugarte. He obviously played under Amorim at Sporting, and Amorim knows him very well. And his career has unfortunately stagnated, I would say. Only 37 appearances at PSG over 2 seasons. Wasn't really a starter in that team either. Has been called out by previous PSG managers for not being, as good as they want him to be. And then was sold to Man United a year later. So he wasn't that great at PSG, but at Sporting, he was phenomenal. He was one of the best midfielders in Europe, I think, watching him play. And the pivot he created with Morita was fantastic. And it showed when we went to play Arsenal, and Ugarte was one of the best players on the pitch. He got sent off, but even still for the 110 minutes or 105 minutes, however much he played, he was fantastic. And he was fantastic under Amorim all the time. He was actually supposed to be the long-term replacement for João Palhinha. And he actually ended up benching João Palhinha at some points in that 21-22 season as well. Starting against Benfica, his sort of starting debut for Sporting as well. And he didn't look out of place. He was the best midfielder on the pitch, and he held Benfica down, which was really good to see as well. There is lots of talent with Manuel Ugarte. I think it is just a confidence issue with him. Progressive passing, progressive dribbling is his strong suit, and he's very physical as well. And I don't get why people say they don't rate Manuel Ugarte. Maybe they've only seen him at PSG and not seen the sort of full picture of stuff under Famalicão and under Sporting. But he was phenomenal. And I don't think you just lose talent like that. I think it's a confidence issue. Maybe he had time and trouble adapting to PSG, and maybe that was it. And he still doesn't look that great under Ten Hag at Man United. Only 8 appearances though, so I think it's too quick to judge. He also didn't have a pre-season, which he should really take into effect. But I think he's one of the players that's looking at Amorim and rubbing his hand, being like, okay, this is where I can improve. This is where I get better. This is where I can kick on and finally get my career on track. And like I said, the partnership that he had with Morita, Matheus Nunes, and even little bits with Palhinha as well, Ugarte was fantastic for Sporting under Amorim's system. 85 appearances, 1 goal and 3 assists from midfield. Doesn't seem like much, but considering how well we were playing, the wingers he had next to him as well, getting those goal scorers. He's not a goal scorer, to be honest, but getting those goals in and the assisting was very good. Goal scoring and assisting is not Ugarte's game. So he's never going to show up in the sort of the stats, so to speak. He's not going to show up in the stat box as someone who scores a lot of goals, gets a lot of assists. He'll do a lot of the dirty work for you, and that's what he was under Amorim as well. He's going to provide great tackles, great physicality, great man marking, great at duels. Like I said, great ball progression, passing, and carrying. That is just Ugarte's strength to a T. And if they do play the sort of 2 pivots in formation, Ugarte and Manu's sort of another one, which I'm not including in this list, but Manu is someone who's going to benefit massively from Ruben Amorim. And I can see a partnership and a pivot of Ugarte and Manu really getting on at Man United and being the midfield for the future for them. Both still incredibly young. Of course, Manu a bit younger than Manuel Ugarte. Manuel Ugarte only 23 years of age, which is still incredibly young for a centre mid in the Premier League to sort of kick on. He's still got a lot of time. I know that the fee was a big one. I think it was 50 million that United paid for him, and that's going to weigh heavy on him. But I think under Amorim, Ugarte will get back to his best self. I can see Amorim starting him when he finally gets in. A pivot of Manu and Ugarte, definitely. But yeah, my first one is going to be Manuel Ugarte. The next player I'm going to go with is Amad Diallo. So you could make a case for a few wingers in this United team, but I'm going to go with Amad Diallo for the main fact Amorim loves converting wingers into wingbacks in his system, and he's done so successfully with a few players. Nuno Santos has made over 150 appearances for Sporting, now at a left wing-back position, despite being a left winger by trade. Jenny Katama's career was saved. he made 20 appearances for his last 2 clubs in 2 seasons. And then when he got moved to a right wing back from a right winger, he played 40 games last season and won the title. He sort of has the mould of, if you can attack well and you can defend, if you can run, if you've got the stamina, you can play in that wing back position. And I think Amad Diallo might be a perfect person for that. You look at the rest of United's wingers, you've got Rashford, that's not going to happen. Garnacho, probably not. I see Amad Diallo and I think, you know what, he could be one of those players that Amorim converts successfully into a wing back. And Amad Diallo, I caught his eye at Sunderland, or he caught my eye, should I say, at Sunderland. He's a great offensive player. And if you look at Ruben Amorim's wing backs, they don't sort of diminish in attacking returns. For example, last year Nuno Santos played as a left wing back, played 31 games, and in total he got 4 goals and 12 assists from that position. And since being converted to a wing back, Jenny Katama has 8 goals and 8 assists in 57 appearances for Sporting. So it just proves that their attacking form doesn't diminish just because they play more in a defensive role. Amorim's wing backs always push up the pitch and sort of act as a winger anyway. Just on the defensive side, they're asked to come back a bit more than a traditional winger, and that helps the defensive side as well as the offensive side. Another example is Giovanni Kenda. At 17 years of age, he was converted into a right wing back from a right winger, and he's flourished at Sporting this season. So far this season, the 17-year-old has made 16 appearances and scored 2 goals and got 1 assist. So Amorim loves converting those pacey wingers into wing backs. They still have great attacking output. And when I look at Man United's team, the best one I could see to sort of fit that position would be Amad Diallo. I think he'll fit in like a glove. And even so, maybe not even as a wing back. Amorim's wingers are very good as well. Trincao, Pedro Gonçalves, Marcos Edwards, Pablo Sarabia, just to name a few that have flourished under Amorim. Guys like Garnacho and Rashford, I think, will suffer that same influence. But in terms of a wing back, in terms of like a position change, I can see Amad Diallo's career thriving if Amorim gives him that start at either the right wing back or left wing back position. Before we get into number 3, if you did enjoy this first 2, let me know. Let me know if you disagree. If you agree, I'm open to discussion. I'm open for feedback, open to criticism. Just let me know in the comments down below. Third and final one though, very, very controversial. And I think I could probably do another 3 more. So if you do want me to do another one of these videos, let me know. But I'm going to go with Harry Maguire. Now, hear me out before you click off the video and you dislike. Hear me out. Sebastian Coates, the shirt I've got on that wall there, before Ruben Amorim took over, he was sort of labelled as a joke. He was going to be sold. He gave away 3 penalties in 1 game and got sent off in that same season before Amorim joined. And he was seen as a joke within Sporting. Within the league itself, he was being called overrated. He was going to be sold for, I think, 8 million. Since then, Amorim saved Coates' career. And I can see some similarities between Sebastian Coates and Harry Maguire. In the first full season that Amorim took over, Coates not only became a great defender, he became a great goal scorer as well, scoring from set pieces and sort of even being like a second striker on those set pieces. He scored 5 goals in 33 appearances in the league, and in total that season he scored 7 in 40. And when I say he saved a lot of games, he was emphatically a good finisher. He saved games against Gil Vicente and Santa Clara when it looks like we were going to draw. In comes Sebastian Coates for the header to score and win the game for us in the last minute. That season, Sebastian Coates scored 2 more goals than Sporting's actual striker in the league, Paulinho. Paulinho only got 3. Sebastian Coates got 5 from centre-back. And Thiago Tomas, Sporting's other striker, only scored 3 goals that season. So 2 strikers, natural strikers combined, didn't score as many goals, or they scored the same amount of goals as a centre-back in Sebastian Coates. That's what Amorim's system was designed to do, was focus on set pieces, especially corners for Coates to head on the end of that and score goals. Coates was a man reborn under Amorim, and I can see exactly the same thing happening to Harry Maguire. And just to hammer the point home, Sebastian Coates scored 1 less goal than Darwin Núñez did that same season. And Darwin Núñez, of course, was the striker that went to Liverpool for what, 80 million, 70 million, whatever the price was. So 1 less than Darwin Núñez, who got a move to Liverpool. That's what Amorim did to Sebastian Coates. And you can make a case, maybe not Maguire, but Lindelof and De Ligt and Lisandro Martinez. But for me, I think the similarities to Coates and Harry Maguire are there to make that assumption. And being in a 3-back, you're going to be a bit more protected defensively. And to be fair, I've always thought Harry Maguire was fine defensively. He's made some mistakes, don't get me wrong. But he's great defensively. If you look at defensively for England, he was fantastic when he was at the national team there. It just seems like a Man United thing. I don't know if it was previous managers, But I think Harry Maguire is a great player, and I think Amorim's going to get the best out of him. Like I said, being the 3-back is going to be protecting him as much as it's protecting the other defenders as well. I don't know if we see like a De Ligt, Martinez, Maguire, something like that as a back three. I don't know if it's Lindelof. Of course, Lindelof used to play with Amorim at Benfica B, so maybe he has that more inclined to start Lindelof because he's seen more of him. He knows what his strengths are. But I'm hoping it turned out to be Maguire. I think the way that Amorim has his centre backs and the way they've progressed. If you look at Inacio as well, fantastic progression. You look at guys even like Fadal, who was signed for like 3 million and become one of the best centre backs in the league at like 32 years of age. You guys like Jeremiah St. Just, who of course is very injury prone, but and that Amorim has been a fantastic centre back when fit. Eduardo Quaresma as well. Even guys like Luis Neto, who are on the tail end of their careers. Amorim sort of made them into great defensive players when they really weren't before. Amorim's defensive structure in his formations and his tactics are really designed to protect the centre-backs as well as protect the team. In Amorim's first season under Sporting, the first full season, he only conceded 20 goals in the league. Those three centre-backs only conceded 20 goals, and Sebastian Coates was the captain, played every single game. 20 goals is crazy when you think about it. Only 20 goals, we scored 65 as well, so the goal difference was fantastic. And even just last season, Sporting conceded 29 goals, but still Coates was sort of the tail end of his career. He was finishing his career at Sporting, but even still 29 goals is fantastic, and a goal difference of 67. Of course, you can attribute most of that to Victor Gyökeres, but we were defensively sound last season as well. There's a few games that we conceded goals stupidly, but I think Coates' career was saved by Amorim. How Coates is now seen as a Sporting legend. Maybe the same thing isn't going to happen to Harry Maguire just because of the centre-backs that Man United have and had in the past. But I think if you look at the similarities between Coates and Harry Maguire, I think you can actually make a case between the sort of parallels and how Coates and Maguire can and did improve under Amorim. You could make the same case, like I said, for Lindelof if you want to change Maguire for Lindelof. But I genuinely think the way Amorim plays football and defensively, the defensive structure, I think Maguire will thrive in 3-back under Ruben Amorim. And that is the end of the video. I know the third one might have been a little controversial, but that's the way I generally see it. I don't claim to be a tactical or anything like that, or, you know, I don't know everything, but I see the similarities there, and I think maybe that's what we can see. Maybe lightning strikes twice for a centre-back who's sort of on the way out of his career and looks like maybe sort of, no disrespect to any of the players, but sort of a meme or a joke towards the end of their careers or the end of their club tenures. But I think Amorim can turn Maguire out. But what did you think? So the top three being Ugarte, Amad Diallo, and of course Harry Maguire. Do you think I've missed out on anyone? Do you want to see another video like this? Do you want to see 3 more players, or do you want to see it from a different team, from Sporting, or just want to see from general? I'll be happy to make that sort of content. If you have enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Manuel Ugarte. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time, and peace.